I would now request JL sir to speak about the Rail Enthusiast Society and how one can become a member. Before we go over to the quiz and the next part, because there are a lot of questions in the chat box on how one can become a member and what really is the charter of the society. So over to you, JL sir.
Thank you, Vikas. See, first let me tell you a little about what the society is and how we came about setting up the society. One book was mentioned. It was called Indian Railways, More Miles, More Smiles. This book was brought out before the Rail Enthusiast Society was even set up. In fact, it came out in the year 2014 on the request of the then chairman of the Indian Railway Board. A few of us rail enthusiasts got together and put this book together and brought it out. It turned out to be very successful. Without really making a specific effort, it was a kind of a dedication to the rail enthusiast. So when we were sitting together and savoring our success in bringing out this book, the thought came that how can we take this idea of rail enthusiasm forward in India? Yes, we did have an e-group, the IRFCA, that was doing this job. But by and large in India, there was no platform on which the rail enthusiasts could get together, where they could exchange ideas, where they could exchange views, where they could do things together as a group rather than individually. So that is when the idea of the society came up. So we got together and set up the society, got it duly registered according to the government's norms. And on the 28th of December 2015, the Rail Enthusiast Society was born. To borrow the words of Abraham Lincoln, we are a society of, by, and for rail enthusiasts. We would like to be by ourselves. We wouldn't like to depend on anybody else. And so far, for the last 5 years, we have been successful in doing that. Well, the question that comes is, who is a rail enthusiast? And what is a rail enthusiast? In the way we see it, a rail enthusiast means a person who may or may not be a professional railwayman or railwaywoman, but who has a deep interest in and love for the railways in all or any of its aspects. The interest could be in any area pertaining to the railways in India or overseas. It could include history, it would include heritage, anecdotes, books and films, infrastructure like track, bridges, stations, locomotives, rolling stock, rail operations, rail photography, rail modeling, staff, even railway sports. In the quiz that we just had, we had one question on railway sports. So any aspect of the railways, whatever it may be, if you have an interest in it, that makes you a rail enthusiast. The subjects mentioned by me just now are only a sample, and in effect, sustained and deep interest in any area pertaining to the railways makes one a rail enthusiast. Now, one of the first activities and the primary activity of the society now has been bringing out a quarterly magazine. All our contributors have been rail enthusiasts, including those from overseas like Paul Whittle and Warren Miller. We brought out our first issue in August 2016, and our 17th issue has just been published, though not yet distributed. In fact, due to this conference, we were unable to distribute it, and we'll be distributing it immediately after the conference. Owing to the pandemic last year, our last physical issue came out in January last year, and this is the first issue we have, which is going to be a physical issue again, and not a virtual issue. In our magazine, we have covered almost all areas that a rail enthusiast may be interested in. It caters to any kind of rail enthusiasts. Most of the magazines have all kinds of topics, but some of them, we have had a theme. Like some of the themes have been rail architecture, rail tunnels. There was one on Anglo-Indians on the railways. There was one on rail electrification. Of course, one thing that runs through almost all our magazines is history and heritage. We have been bringing forth other activities also. One of our main activities has been visits to railway establishments and guided rail trips. We have visited railway workshops, we have visited construction sites, we have visited depots. We have had trips, guided trips, mean there'll be some person who knows the area well, and whoever else joins, that area is explained to him. We have organized debates and quizzes for children. One interesting activity we had, which the pandemic last year brought to a stop completely, was the training of volunteers among school students who would like to be guides at the National Rail Museum in New Delhi. We had 2 sessions with these students, took them around the museum, taught them about how to become guides. But before we could have our last session, the lockdown due to the pandemic came and the museum closed down, and we could not really complete the session. One activity we have taken up recently, thanks to the pandemic, is a monthly virtual talk by anybody. So far, all the talks have been by members of our society, but in effect, anybody who can talk on any aspect of the railways would be welcome to deliver a talk. We've had 7 talks already. We intend taking up the publishing of books. In fact, our first book that we will be publishing will be launched tomorrow. It's a book on steam locos that have survived in India, which are still available. And the book has been put together by Vikas Singh. It's very interesting that in the late 1960s, there were almost 12,000 steam locomotives working in India. Out of these 12,000 odd locomotives, only about 300 still exist. Of these, about 35 to 40 are in working order. Maybe another 15, 20 can be steamed up. The rest are all just shells. And of course, many of them have been displayed properly, but many are just lying in yards in a very derelict condition. We hope to make this conference that we have organized this year into an annual event, and we are able to attract the kind of august speakers that we have had this year. So we definitely have enjoyed putting this conference together, and we hope that we'll be able to do that every year. This, in short, has been the activities of the society till now, and we hope to continue the way we are. Now, how do you become a member of the society? No problem at all. Our email is given on our website. Just send an email to the secretary. We will send you a detailed form and of how to become a member, what your subscriptions are, what type of memberships are available, and so on. We have individual membership as well as corporate membership. Individual membership is of 3 types. You can be an annual member, you can be a 5-year member, or you can be a life member. Subscriptions are liable to change. That is why I won't give you the immediate subscriptions. It will depend on what the subscriptions are at that time. Companies and organizations can become corporate members. Corporate membership is only for life. All members, of course, will get copies of our magazine or any other publication that we have. You will be informed of any activity that we have, like a guided tour or like a talk or anything. You are welcome to join or even contribute towards it. Anything that we sell or wherever funds are involved, you will obviously get a concession. For example, the book that we are launching tomorrow, it will come at a cheaper rate to rail enthusiasts as it would to others. We already have not too many, but a significant number of members who are international, that is not Indian nationals. So we hope that we will have membership overseas also. That in brief is a little about what the society is all about. Now, I would like to hand over back to Vikas Singh, who can go to the next question on our quiz. Over to you, Vikas.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Mayank has shared details about how to become a member and the link on the chat box. So those who are interested can have a look at the chat box. Now let's go to the next set of questions. I intend to ask, because we have time, around 4 questions, and let's see, how many people get them correct. Okay, the first question, which river is crossed by the Nar Narayan Setu? Anirban has got it correct. It is Brahmaputra. So, Anirban, I just write down your name and then we move on to the next question. See, so far we didn't have, anybody getting 2 questions correct. It is Brahmaputra near Goalpada. Now, this is an interesting question. Name a large station. Now, focus on the word large station on the Mumbai-Chennai route, which has 5 languages on its signboard. A large station with 5 languages on the signboard. Apurva has got it right. It is Raichur. Okay. So now we go to the next one. The Calcutta-based Martin Company ran several light railways in the past. Only one was outside Eastern India. In which state did most of this line lie? The name of the state, and it will be great if you can name the railway also. But we'll give full points if you get the state correct. Sauro is correct. It is Shadra Saharanpur, UP. So Sauro gave the right answer first. So it was the Shadra Saharanpur light railway. Let's come to the next question. Which loco shed was responsible for the ill-fated XB 1916, which is associated with the Bihita disaster in 1937? No, it's not Jamalpur or Mughal Sarai. I'll give a small hint. This loco shed is in Bihar. Kamaldeep, Mandrani, you have to give one option. I mean, you're given 2 options. I will, yeah. So I will give it to Kamaldeep, though JL sir also got it right. It is Jhaja. So Kamal got it right. So I now ask the last question for this round, and then we move on to the next speaker. Okay, so fill in Jangaon, Mehboob Nagar, dash Lal Bahadur Shastri. So we'll come back to this question again, and some hints would be no. So we didn't get no, we didn't get. So we'll come back with the answer after this session, after this talk. For the next session, I would like to invite Mayank. Now, Mayank
Vikas,
is, yeah,
you
sorry.
can hand over to me.
Yeah, I can.
Hand over to me, I'll introduce Mayank.
Okay, fine, sir. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that, sir.
We still have a few minutes to go. Can we request Apoorv to continue showing his pictures of the Bhor Ghat? Maybe for 3 or 4 minutes.
Jail sir, can I start?
Yeah, please start. We have about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll just, sure.
Yeah.
I'm moving on to a slightly different presentation.
Okay.
It's more like a shorter presentation, so I hope, yeah. Some of the pictures are also here. So this was for an American audience, and we just wanted to, he said, where do you live? So I wanted to show him where Pune is. I'm in Pune, Maharashtra. And we just wanted to show, okay, this is how one section to the west of us looks like. And some pictures from the Bhor Ghats. I asked this guy, I said, what are you doing? So he said that I'm taking this particular leaf for my goat. And if I feed it to my goat, it'll give more milk. So there are also, stories that we exchange with the people who are around it. So, and for these people, a returning banking locomotive is the only way that they can get to their village, which is a very tiny hamlet somewhere. This is the view of Monkey Hill, after Monkey Hill, from across the valley, across the Ulhasnagar. I'm just showing you views of the Bhor Ghats, which we people from Pune and Mumbai we can get there very easily. This is of course the Hubli Express. This is the view of what is left of the Monkey Malli viaduct, in the sense that it's a very famous Victorian viaduct which failed and now is being converted into an embankment, and this is how it looks today. This is one of the ancient viaducts in the Bhor Ghat, built in 1850s, but still in use today. This is a view of the Bhor Ghats. These are the banking locomotives which are pushing a freight train up the grade. And what you can see is 3 banking locomotives, and you can see basically the banking locomotive crew sits in the front cab of the last locomotive. So the last vehicle is always manned, and they push the train. But there is also a guy in the front cab. He's the second assistant driver who has to manage the other 2 locomotives, because it's a very complex things checking all the locomotives. So the banking locomotive, if there are 3 locomotives, then they have 2 assistant drivers. So that is what is shown here. Chindamani is one of the sections which we have near Pune, an absolutely beautiful place. Unfortunately, there's doubling on right now and electrification. So what you see is just the past. It doesn't exist anymore. Sometimes we go very early and Maharashtra Express runs very late. So we are fortunate for these sort of interactions. This is the beloved WDM2. According to me, this is the locomotive which has made Indian Railways what it is. Today, it's very much a bad name because of the fuel, the pollution and everything. And apparently electrics are more efficient, etc., etc. But these are self-contained locomotives, the pride of India. This is the 315 passenger leaving Chindamani station. Sometimes, like I said, we reach early and then there is a train coming. Chindamani Ghat is absolutely spectacularly beautiful place. It will be my pleasure to take any of you if you come down to Pune. Like I said, you can only imagine how beautiful it is. And with the diesel locomotive, single line, full bore open because it's climbing a gradient. This is probably the last time we visited, after which the OHG poles have come, and a second viaduct is being constructed on the left of this. So the entire, we used to walk 3-4 kilometers and there would be no second person. But now you have 100 trucks, 1,000 people working there, and they don't like anybody with cameras. So things are very difficult now. Rain comes, sometimes you're caught at the wrong place, but you get a train, so you get a beautiful shot. The same, I'm actually on top of a tunnel, and this is a morning passenger from Satara, which is coming towards Pune. This is the last big viaduct on Chindamani Ghat, and this is the morning passenger going towards Ambale. Downridge is another place where we go. It's a very, very, it's the second sharpest curve on broad gauge on the Indian Railways. The first one being near Bhopal, the bulb between Buddhi and Barkeda. So it's a place which the train comes in here and it goes around the hills, and you can see it on the other side. There's this tiny village in which the only surname is Pawar. So you have only Pawars in this village. Everybody is a Pawar here. And to compound the problem, on the other side of the curvature is a Pawar Wadi, in which obviously everybody is a Pawar. So it's one of these things. Once you go there, then you discover how sweet the local people are and very hospitable. This is triple WDG3As and 2 bulls and 2 cows, whatever. They're coming on.
Anyway, thank you, Apurv.
Yes, are we out of time?
Pictures are very good, and we can continue forever. But it is now 4 p.m.
Yes, sir.
So I think we can go.
We can continue. Yes, sir. I'll stop my sharing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Welcome, sir.